So, welcome everyone to this episode of our FCBDU podcast. Today, we are talking about the art of connection from duets to dueling duets. And we have not one, not two, but three very special guests. I mean, I can't have a podcast on the art of connection without my friends joining in, right? So we have Liz Malcom, Lore Rojas, and Carolina Enriquio joining today. Good morning,
Good morning.
friends. I'm so glad that you are here. And what better way to kick off the month of February? All about connections, right? Yeah. So every year, pretty much on FCBDU in February, we focus on duets in some form or another. Like I think in 2021, we focused on kind of like practicing duets on your own because we were all in the middle of a pandemic and that was pretty much what we could do. And so every year we just kind of expand on duets. And of course, we'll talk through toward the end of today's podcast about your freaking brilliant new course, Diary of Dueling Duets, or Dueling Duet Diaries, if you will, 6 chapters, which is so freaking amazing. But we'll kind of talk about that later. But I definitely want to just introduce you guys a little bit to people that might not know you and where you are. And so maybe we could start with Liz.
Sure. Hi, I'm Liz Malcom. I live and teach and work in Birmingham, Alabama.
And Lore.
And I am Lorena Rojas, and I am originally from Mexico, but now I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Since this month, it's gonna be 3 years ago. So, woohoo.
Wow!
I know, 3 years.
And next we have.
Hello, I'm Carolina Enriquio, and I live in South San Francisco, California, and I'm so happy to be here with y'all.
Yay. And I love this. So I'm looking at the screen, and of course I see all 4 of us, and just looking at the different connections here. So speaking of connection, right? So of course, without Carolina, none of us probably would even know each other, right? So think about like the lifelong connections that we've created. And Liz and I have been close dear friends and dancing together for 21 years. 21 years, Liz.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And then Lore, I've known Lore for I don't even know how many years, and because kind of gradually our connection has gotten stronger and stronger. And in her last couple of years that she was living in Mexico, we got to know each other even more. And I've just completely enjoyed getting to know you even more over the years and spending more time together, both in the US and in Mexico.
I know.
Just honoring the connections that we all have here together. And then not only that, but also now I live on the West Coast over here, close to Carolina. And now Lore lives over there, close to Liz. And you guys have gotten together multiple times. And it's just this beautiful connection. I mean, really. So it's just amazing. I thought I'd kick us off with just reading a really quick little thing that I put in our blog post for today's newsletter, which is all about celebrating connection. So it says, connection in dance is about more than just movement. It's the bond we create with our bodies, our dance partners, and the rhythm of the music. In FCBD style, connection is what brings us into harmony with each other, allowing us to flow through our shared dance language. It's an energy exchange where intention and awareness bring us into sync, building trust and creating a sense of unity. So, yeah, it's really all about connection. So what I put in this blog, I said, isn't it beautiful that this feeling of connection only grows stronger the more that we are together? Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when we're first maybe dancing in a group, I know I tell my students, and you guys probably do the same, like the more we dance together, the more we'll be able to read each other's body language, the more we'll be able to dance even more in flow and in sync, just because we've created this energy of connection. And how beautiful is it that it's part of our practice, connection as part of our practice in dance. But it goes so much deeper than just practicing in movement. It's this shared passion that we have and cultivating that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. It's
So I thought, go ahead, Liz.
Sorry, I was just talking about that in my beginner class. I just started a new session on Tuesday, and we were talking about it being like a thought, like a thought consciousness bubble. Like when you get into the bubble and you're more connected with each other than you ever were before.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway.
I love it. I love it. I thought we could kick off the podcast by first talking about the concept of connection and how our dance style fosters that beautiful word, that beautiful feeling, that beautiful energy. And then on the theme of duets, we can talk a little bit about duets and then ultimately go into the concept of dueling duets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe we can start with Carolina. Carolina, this what do you think creates a stronger sense of connection in dance? Or what do you feel?
Can you give me a little context?
Yeah. Okay, so our style of dance, we can work on technique, we can work on all the things, right? But connection is ultimately where it's at, in my opinion. Connection is ultimately where it's at. What do you think is important about creating this sense of connection with your fellow dancers that helps your dance?
Well, the whole time that we've been introducing ourselves and talking about the connections, my little light bulb that was popping over my head was trust.
Yeah.
And I feel like having taught many classes of different levels, my favorite classes are the beginner classes because everybody comes in and they're like, I don't know if I can do this. I have two left feet. Like and the teacher's job is to facilitate, loosening it up, let's just get going. We're going to have fun. Don't worry about it. And, when you can cultivate a culture in the classroom where everybody's going to make a mistake, nobody cares. Boom. That's, if you willfully throw somebody under the bus, that's one thing. Like that is something we're going to talk about. But it's like everyone's going to make a mistake, including me, and no one cares. So just, give it a try. Just give it a try. And I think people, they're like, yeah, but, maybe not me, kind of a thing. And then when someone actually experiences making a mistake and nobody cares, that trust, starts to widen. And, then when they experience, mistake is not the right word, but, not as something didn't go as planned in their head, but another dancer swoops in and, straightens it out again. That's kind of the like wow moment that people have, that non-verbally you can fix a situation. So that's what it is to me.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
That
Lori,
really
what is the sense of? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. That really speaks to me because I do tell my beginner students, all you have to do is turn to face your partners and they'll help you.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
That simple.
They got your back.
Yeah.
Just go step, and smile. And you're good. You're good. Someone's going to step in and help you, or someone's going to step in literally and, pull you out of that situation. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Liz.
Oh, you
That
didn't.
was beautiful. This is our first podcast with this many guests, so there'll be a little bit of that happening. But yeah, I love that, Carolina. Thank you for sharing that trust. Lori, is there anything that related to connection that speaks to you about connection in this dance?
I think it's so related to trust, but I would say the word for me is vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be willing to be uncomfortable and to have your heart open. And I always start my beginners class telling them, don't worry, I love being the panda bear of the class. We can all be panda bears. And I do lots of mistakes because my brain is like always like make a pause, and I'm like, I forgot what I was saying. Da, da, da. So they laugh with me and they're like, oh, the teacher is, if the teacher forgets, that's okay. If I forget, I guess, I don't know. But I'm being myself. Like, I try to lead with sample that I am not perfect, and we're here to have fun, you know. So I think if you are honest and trust your mates, and are open to make mistakes, and like just what Carolina said, I'm just repeating the same. But I guess just showing your vulnerable face, you know, like just being like, we're here just to have fun. And yeah, I think that's a good one, without egos. Because yeah, I think that's why the beginners class are some of the awesome, because there's no egos anywhere. So yeah, I think I like that too much.
I love that. I love what you just said. Like the beginners class, like we all come in and we don't have the egos because we're just like, oh, what's happening? Right. So yeah. Liz,
Yeah.
what would you say is like kind of a word or theme or something that helps you with this concept of connection in dance?
I'm going to say empathy. Right? Because we see each other making a mistake and we empathize and we want to be there to help. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So for those of you joining us live over on our YouTube channel, I'd love to hear from you. What are some things that you think about when you think about the concept of connection in dance? What helps us create this connection and this stronger connection in our dance style, or in any dance style? I'd love to hear from you. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about, so we said trust. Yeah, building trust, having trust together. Vulnerability, like leaving your egos somewhere else. And empathy. Absolutely. And I think all of those things are so important. And all three of those things make a great dancer, but also make a great teacher, right? We have to have empathy for our students. We have to trust ourselves. We also have to trust the process, and trust our students. And then we as teachers have to have that vulnerability too. So we can't just go in and be like, well, I'm the best and I know all the things and blah, 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 blah. Like, I love that. Lori said, you have to be able to be a panda bear. So we've all seen those panda bears, like they try something and then they fall out of the tree and they're like, well, that didn't work. And then they just roll with it, like literally just roll down the path. Just roll with it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So let's talk a little bit about duets, because of course we could talk all about groups and this aspect of connection within the groups, but there's something about duets that really brings in next level trust, vulnerability, and empathy, right? So I feel like in a duet, it's a lot more intimate than it is in a quartet or a trio. So it's interesting that when we're teaching formations, we teach duets first and then trios and then quartets. And of course I know why, because it's easier to just kind of sync up and follow one person than it is to figure out four. But putting people in duets can feel very vulnerable, because now all of a sudden it's like, it's a one-on-one situation, right? And we have this eye contact, and then being able to, with my students, I talk about the need to make eye contact so that it's clear when we break eye contact, right? So the purpose of creating eye contact is so that we have a clear cue when we need to break it. And so that I feel like that gives them a little bit more confidence in creating eye contact, because then they're like, okay, are you breaking eye contact first, or am I breaking eye contact first? But it's not about like this scary factor of we have to stare each other down. It's really just so that we're communicating. But I have found that duets can be really intimidating to some dancers. Yeah. So I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about the beauty of duets, the challenge of duets, right? And things that we can learn working with one other person. So, Liz, what is your favorite aspect? I'm like working around and then working back around like this. So, Liz, what's your favorite aspect about working with a duet, right? And then what's your most challenging aspect about working in a duet?
Well, I think facing each other is really powerful, and having that really deep connection to where you're just like watching each other. And even if I know not everybody's comfortable with eye contact, but you could look at other parts of their face, maybe their forehead or their nose, until you can build up the confidence and the practice to stare someone directly in the eye. But I think just like going, okay, watching that, like, okay, what step are you going to do? And are you going to follow me? Or are you going to change this step? That negotiation, that nonverbal negotiation, and how it's like a two-way street. You're both kind of giving and receiving, like everything, the trust, the empathy, the fear, the everything is like right there in front of you. And they're responding to you, you're responding to them. It's an intimate conversation.
Yeah.
It
That's
is.
beautiful. That's beautiful. What do you think is, and that's probably obviously like some of the most challenging parts of that also, right? That nonverbal communication.
Yes. And how does that look to other people around you? How does that look to your audience? I think it is just magnifies it. Your audience is so drawn in, right? By seeing this interaction, this connection between two people on the stage.
Yeah.
Or in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful.
Very powerful. Lori, do you have anything to add or anything that maybe you find most beautiful about a duet and most challenging about a duet?
I think Liz said most of it, but I think well, at least when we were working in our series, we I think we got like so connected with eye contact. It was just magical. Like we could almost like read our brains. Like, are we doing this? Are we done? So I love to feel that's kind of like an electricity like happening between the two people. Like, so I love that, and I know I always say this about our dance form is I know people enjoy seeing people having fun and connection, and they're gonna want more of that. So yeah, I think I just enjoy, I guess, that thing you can't see but you can feel it. I don't know if that makes sense. Something
Yeah.
And
like
it just keeps getting stronger the more you dance with
that. Exactly. Yeah.
that you do. It gets more, I mean, that's where we start talking about, I just knew exactly the step you were about to do, and you
Yeah.
just did it.
Yeah. And also, like, if you know the other one messed up, you'll be like, don't worry. The one is like, we got you. So I like that communication. But yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's for me.
Yeah. Carolina, do you have anything to add to that? Or what's kind of like your favorite aspects of duets and things that you might find is more challenging with duets?
Well, actually, what came up for me while I was listening to both of you give your ideas is I find that if anybody has stage fright or you know has a hard time looking in the mirror, has a hard time looking at the audience, that when you turn to face your partner, it's like people just relax because even though that the mirror is still there, the audience is still there, whatever the circumstance is, that just this human response of just looking at another person, it's like all of a sudden this is the primary, and that other stuff is like we'll deal with that later. I found that in classroom exercises, when people face each other, they're a lot more relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah, I
True.
agree. Like the second you have, like, let's say new dancers and you're teaching them how to turn around and take and like circle up, and then all of a sudden, like they might have this like scared face and they turn around to circle up and everybody smiles. And then it's just like this time to recharge. And that's what I've tried to tell my students, because then they'll come back around and somebody will take the lead and they'll go back into this frightened face. I try to tell them, like, just that energy that you felt when you were facing your dance partner, know that they're still there and they've got your back, you know?
Yeah.
And so hopefully that'll help them smile and feel a little more connected. Yeah, so beautiful. What are some, I know we were talking about this a little bit beforehand, but along these same lines, what are some exercises that you guys use in your classrooms to help your students feel more connected, whether it's in duets or maybe just with each other? Because there is that level of trust and vulnerability and empathy that, I don't know about you guys, but as you go throughout your day, and let's say, let's just say most of us have like a day job, quote unquote day job, where we go into an office. And I don't know about you, but I was always taught, don't get too personal with people in the office. Make sure that you keep everything in a super professional level, and I totally feel that. But we're training ourselves to have kind of a little bit of a barrier, kind of a little bit of a wall up, not have this vulnerability or this empathy, have trust, but only when it relates to, these surface level situations. So how do we go from being in that headspace all day where we're training ourselves to not connect, to like now coming into a classroom once or twice or three times a week where we're being asked to forget all of that and create this connection with people that you might not even know. Like you might just meet them that night, such a different switch. So what are some tools that you use as teachers to help students be open to connection?
Well, I try to get my students together for just to visit, just to go out to dinner after class, or text. We're on a text group and we'll share personal things or photos, and that helps us, I think, feel closer to each other, which helps us in the classroom. I know that's not a classroom exercise, but
so fostering connections outside of the classroom with each other. Yeah.
I have to say, I think Lisa and I work so well together because we're very similar. We're like, let's party. I know. We're like, let's just, like, yeah, oh yeah, we have to dance. But this is a hard question for me because I fail every time. Like I remember you telling me, be you, and I know myself and I fail. I always just give everything, and I want to know everything, and I guess it's my culture or whatever, because I fail. I just want to be friends with like I'm the teacher, but I share things. I started the class saying how we feel, for instance, and yeah, I said like today was a hard day, but I'm so happy I'm here or something. So in the beginning of the class, we start sharing. It's not always ideal because sometimes people had a horrible day and then they start sharing too much. But I try to keep it like to one word, a couple of words, but that at least gives them like how you say, they know they're important to the class. They know that we are landing in here and we are in this together, and you get to hear other people how they feel that day, and yeah. But I have to say I find it hard to just keep it even at work. Just like it's hard for me. I always try to see the best in people and just focusing in that. And even if someone comes to class maybe in a bad mood or something, I just try to find the thing that I know maybe it's like that because she's insecure, or maybe she had a bad day, or yeah. And I think I remember Carolina saying one day about she would be the best waitress because she would always get like tips because like it's like a skill. And I feel that it's like a challenge. I'm like, I'm gonna make you feel better. I guess I'm just a people pleaser, but in the end, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I went sideways of the question, but I'm just like that. I'm just like blah, emotions and excitement, and I'm always excited to see people and dance with them, and they get contagious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. Sorry, I went all the way.
I love it. I love it. Totally feel that with you, Lori, like that contagious energy. I just get like buzzy and then we just like feed off of each other. So
I know.
yeah.
Liz
Yeah.
too.
Liz too. Absolutely. And Carolina, do you have anything to share as far as like creating connection in your classrooms or exercises that you found have been really helpful?
The only thing that pops to my mind, I'm sure there's more back here in the cobwebs, but the only thing that pops into my mind was I often would start my classes by saying, let's go around and everybody tell us your name and your favorite, and I'd pick a topic. Tell us your favorite color or your favorite beverage or your favorite flower or, something. And, it caused people to look at the person who is presenting, and generally they would like nod their heads and say, oh yeah, me too. Or really, something like that. And then to the next person. So it caused everyone to give each person a chance to introduce themselves and be acknowledged. So I think that's,
I love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Oh yes.
Although on the flip side of that, sometimes I would just walk into the studio, put the music on, and start dancing.
True.
And everyone just goes, "Oh, okay, we're just going to go." So then a verbal instruction, or this is what we're going to do. Just like boom, we're going to start dancing, and it was sort of interesting to watch people just be momentarily confused, like, "Oh, we're just going to do this. Okay, we're just going to do the thing." So either way, verbal or nonverbal.
Yeah, I love that. And what Lori said about culture, right? So thinking about just the 4 different aspects of where we are physically located, and then just like our backgrounds, right? So Lori, like the Latin culture is just like everybody's family. We just kisses on the cheek all around. Like we're just instantly friends we're instantly family until you do something to piss me off. And then I probably won't talk to you for a little while. Right. And then we're probably going to get friends again, that kind of a thing. And knowing Liz living in the South, as I lived in the South as well. I remember Carolina came to the South. She's like, everybody's so nice. Like, that's just how it works, Yeah. So yeah, just living in different areas or having a different cultural background could also impact how you approach both as from a teacher or how you have to cultivate that connection in your classrooms as well. There may be some areas that people live in that don't have that initial kind of like guards down vulnerability instantly, right? The default may be defensive and you have to kind of prove yourself to me first. So just being aware, and I've had to kind of feel that out in different spaces that I've danced in personally, because I thought like, what did I do to these people? But ultimately it was just the culture of the space that I was in. That's just their nature, right? I have to prove my level of trust, or I have to prove that that they can have a connection before the walls come down. Whereas when we were in Mexico, right, it's like we all just knew each other for 500 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love that. So I'm going to check in the comments over on YouTube. Hello, Samantha Jane and Helen and Edie and McKenna. Najma, hi Una. She says, I love duets, mesmerizing. And Bridget's here, and she says duets are an exercise in being vulnerable and feeling safe with another person. Once you can let go of wanting to protect yourself and give to each other, all of a sudden you are in a new space of just dancing with your partner. I love that. Once you can let go of wanting to protect yourself, all of a sudden you're in a new space. Yeah, I think that's really important. That's kind of what we've been talking about, right? This feeling of like
Trust.
There it
Building
is.
trust. Yeah.
Feeling of building trust. Yeah. So recently, I've done two things in my classes recently that have helped me kind of create this level of connection. And one of them was the very first day in my Beyond Foundations class, we all faced into the circle to do our gratitude instead of me just being at the front of the room. So we faced into the circle and then we followed my arms. Like we're just one unit, we're just following our arms and dancing together. Then we practiced just traveling around in a circle and staying together, keeping the shape of the circle. And that was huge. We've done that before, of course, in formations, but to throw that out the very first time that these dancers were together, all of a sudden from day one, they felt like we're creating something together. Like we got to work together. And I've really, really enjoyed that. So I'm going to continue going on in that direction. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing that I've done is I love going back to Lori's explanation of being a panda bear. I was just a panda bear. So yesterday was shimmy class where I teach dance. I teach dance in two different places, but at Lifetime. So Lifetime, I never knew who's going to show up because it's like pretty much like a drop-in kind of thing. So I may have 25 one day and then 15 brand new people the next day. So it was shimmy class. So at some point, I just put a song on and we just freestyled in a circle because that's what it was going to take to like get people to let their guards down. So I was totally that panda bear of just like I was trying to make myself as silly as possible. And all of a sudden we were all being as silly as possible, right? So if we just like let it go and be as crazy as we can, then when we come into the movement and the technique, we're not afraid of looking silly because we've already done that. We got that out of the way. And it was so fun. So and so those have been like kind of my two go-tos lately that I've really enjoyed. So
that sounds great.
Yeah. So so I'd love to now dive into a little bit of dueling duets.
Okay.
And I want to kick this off with asking Okay. Let's get serious. Oh my gosh. I'd love to kick this off by hearing from Carolina. And I know I've asked her this question before, but I'd love for her to share it in the podcast. Where did this concept of dueling duets come from? Where did the concept of dueling duets come from?
Well, it did not come from me. It was something that the troupe put together when I was away on a trip somewhere. This would often happen, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But in this case, they developed this dueling duet concept. And it was, I think the first time it was performed was at Ricasa. So would I have been traveling then? I don't remember, but it wasn't me. And I just absolutely loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is like a whole nother, this is like up a level. Like I think the reason, so it was not me, it was the troupe. I'm going off on a tangent, but the troupe at that time figured it out. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And what are some of your favorite aspects of the dueling duets?
Okay. That's where I was going to go. So, so if I can put this in a few words, the dance form itself is best, in my opinion, is best appreciated in a street performance or a cafe performance where you're literally like right eye to eye with the audience, and the audience is free to move around you. Like they can get up and leave if they're not into it. You know, it's not like a theater show where it's awkward to get up and leave. So people are just walking by, they can check it out, you know, they can just climb, you know, or they can watch or whatever. So I think that's the best way to present the dance. And when the dance goes onto the stage, that's, I think, where people really flip out, both the audience and the dancers. It's a lot to face an audience. So the dueling duet takes that idea that I mentioned earlier of the safety of looking at your partner, so that the audience might be there, but you're looking at each other and you're really like searching for the clues of like, what's going to happen next. So I think it's better than a stage performance, because it's just the dance. It's just like you're with your dancers, kind of like what you were saying with your dancers in a circle. You're just doing this thing, and you're watching each other, and it's working, because if you're doing the thing, it's working, and the other people that are watching just sort of melt away, because you,
Mhm.
you can't look at them. There is no reason to turn and look at them until the very end, where you reset the whole thing. So I don't know if that made sense, but that was,
Yeah, absolutely. I
hmm,
love that aspect of like it creates that sense of where the dance form really shines and makes it kind of like, yeah, brings that aspect to the stage.
exactly. Like when we used to dance at Cafe Istanbul on that little strip of carpet, we didn't do it so much. We didn't do it. The dueling duet did not exist then, but that narrow concept of the audience is around you, but you're doing it this way,
Yeah.
each other. Yeah. Or some of the time we were facing towards each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. When I taught it once when I taught dueling duets, I was in the dance studio and we were trying to figure this out. We were actually at the old Datura studio trying to figure this out, and they just weren't getting like the concept. They were having a lot of questions, and I was like, I got an idea. So we went out in the hallway. And I was like, okay, let's get this. And then they were like, oh, like all of a sudden when they didn't have that much space and they had to really rely on it, it was like, there we go. So it's
Mhm.
like taking them out of that concept and like putting them into a place where it was actually yeah, like a Cafe Istanbul kind of situation, if you will.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to get people to recognize the shape that you're trying to maintain. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And so I know when dueling duets, like when I first was introduced to them back in, I don't know, the early 2000s or whenever they first get introduced, I was like, dueling? That
Yeah.
word just didn't sit like with me, because I was like, it's about connection and community and what's the whole thing with dueling? I mean, I get it. I get it. So for people that don't understand the concept of dueling duets, um, Liz, do you want to share a little bit about like what this formation is? Like if somebody doesn't know what a dueling duet is, it sounds almost like we have swords and we're like coming at each other, but we're not, right? So can you explain to somebody that maybe has never experienced it or seen it a little bit about a dueling duet?
Woo! All right, that's a big question. I got an answer for. We start out in a forward-facing quartet. Then we create a fade. Then the temporary leader in the fade does a pivot and stays facing into the center line between the four dancers. So you have a center line from the front of the stage to the back of the stage. So now that's your front for both sides of the quartet to face towards. And we
Okay.
dance like that. And the two leaders, we have a main lead and secondary lead, and they're building their steps and responding to each other. And Lori chose the word play. Like it's a playful game, right? It's not like a duel or there's nothing, where I'm bringing my sword out and going, ah, right? It's fun. It's fun. And so the two back people follow their leaders, and the two leaders respond to each other. And it's really exciting because it brings like every fat chance belly dance principle and concept together in one formation. So
It's super, super advanced, right? And it takes a lot of connection, because sometimes the two leads, the main lead and the secondary lead, are in sync as if they were dancing in a duet. And sometimes they play.
Yes.
And they may play around with the timing of steps, like for instance, in slow, or variations in steps, or half turns of steps.
Yes.
And if you want to get even more playful, sometimes those duets in the center even pass and do duet combinations. And meanwhile, the people that are on the ends have to decide like what their role is and what are they doing or what variation are they doing. And it really does, I think, take every concept
Yeah.
and puts it together.
Yeah.
And having that ultimate level of connection, because I know I have been one of the followers in a dueling duet many a times. And because I'm so used to kind of looking at the person across from me in a duet, next thing you know, I'm like dancing what the other group is doing instead of what my leader is doing. Right. So having that connection with both your leader, but not ignoring the fact that you're dancing with another duet as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, it does. It's like duets to the 10th power or something like that.
Got to be 100% present.
Yep. Yep.
There you go.
100%.
There you go. 100% present. And so what are some of your favorite, Carolina, what are some of your favorite things to do in a dueling duet?
Oh man, I haven't danced in so long. Um, I'm gonna toss that over to Lori. But before I do that, I'm going to say the thing that's on my mind, which is another way to maybe understand like the concept of the dueling duet is there is a big band song called Sing, Sing, Sing by Benny Goodman and his orchestra. And it is like every time I listen to it, like I cannot sit still. I have a whole choreography in my head to dance around the house doing the whole thing. But the way that the big band and jazz kind of things work is there's a presentation of the song, right? And then there's the presentation of each different lead instrument in the song. And then it all comes together in the end, which to me is very much like the dueling duet because there are, it's working together, but then there are individual people making decisions, which are kind of like the solos in the jazz music. And then at the end, the whole thing like puts the song back together, and which is sort of like the end of the dueling duet when they go back into a regular formation. So that's just sort of like, as Liz was talking, I saw that in my head. And now toss that question over to Lori because I haven't danced long enough to remember what I did.
So what the question was about
What is your favorite thing to do in a dueling duet?
dueling duets.
Whether
Okay.
it's slow or whether it's fast. Like, what's your thing? Like, I have to do this when I'm in a dueling duet.
Yeah. I think I love it when you are in one extreme and end up in the other one. It's just like this little path where you're like switching with your leader and then switching with the other leader and then switching with the other follower. I don't know, that just like makes me happy just to see all the movement and traveling and like you get to be in all the positions. I like that harmoniously, right? So it doesn't have to be tough. And I'm dying to mention something, piggybacking with Carolina's comment about like the people inside. I reminds me of like capoeira or like these folkloric dances where they are doing their thing and then the audience comes and pick, what are you doing, what are you doing? And I like that, and I love that kind of show as well as an audience because I don't feel all the weight of like they're expecting me to clap or something because like they're doing their thing and I'm just coming to pick and be like, what are you doing? And then you get to enjoy what they're doing, and then when you turn back to the audience, like Carolina said, like they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, they were dancing for us too." So I don't know. I just never thought about it until Carolina mentioned it now, and I think I love it. And again, more. So yeah, that.
Yeah, that vining of, like you're saying, when you're on one end and you end up on the other end is just like, it's magical that the whole thing can be done non-verbally with dance steps to music. And
Yeah.
everybody understands what's happening. And I think that vining part, even if you don't understand what's happening, you can still do it. because everyone around you is moving in a certain way where you're just like, okay, oh, I'm over here now. Okay, I get it. Yeah. So it's, again, that trust and safety of like, my people got me.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. I'm excited. I want to see a dueling duet right now.
We've got one for you. we can show you that. Liz, what are some of your favorite things to do in a dueling duet?
Oh gosh. Well, even just the simplest step is really beautiful. Like our swivel step, Egyptian, or shimmy is just really, it's just so lovely. And it's lovely to see it from different angles. You know, your audience is going to be looking at the step from the side or the back. And it's just really lovely to see it move and turn. But I also love combos. Like I love the four corners passing combo between the two leaders, and then the leaders could do it with their followers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of things I love to do.
It's exciting.
But also I love slow vocabulary because you get to start playing with the secondary could choose to delay, and then what is the main? The main watches them and kind of chooses a floating step to wait for them. And I love that play with just their beautiful slow steps.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, I have to agree. Like, I really like the slow aspects where we can, maybe one group is doing a figure eight and then the other group takes it into a level. And when they go down, or like when they're coming back up, the other group goes down. And it's just like this, like beautiful, you get to see the same step, but with different texture, I guess. I don't know if that's the best way to explain it. And then the fast, right? If one group is doing, let's say, a swivel step half turn and another group goes into a triple, and you're just like, what's happening right now? Yeah. And then you start spinning and you're just like, it's all over the place. And it's so fun. But then to make that happen with the musicality, right? Or then to time it to where you can then come back around and you're like, bam, in the step, like together again. It's just like, yeah. Next level dancing, next level planning. Well, I mean, it's improv, right? But it's like next level. Like I've got this countdown in my head. I got this music. Like you both nailed it, and you're just like, and the audience thinks it's amazing, but they have no idea, like, truly how amazing that just was, that all of that happened at the same time.
Right? Yeah. Can I say?
Yeah, please.
So here's an idea. Way back in the day when Tribal Fest was still happening, there was a group that did a presentation with a guy who was basically like, do you know how the sportscasters will say what's happening on the field or in the game? And so I don't know how they got this guy. Was so perceptive. He didn't really know that much about the dance, but he I think they must have taught him what the steps were, but he just had this natural ability. So he'd be like, oh, and she came back with the triple Egyptian after that half turn swivel step. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Wait, here comes a shimmy. I didn't see that one coming. I did not see that. Oh, look.
Oh, I love that.
It was like one of the best things I've ever seen. It was so
good.
and it would be so great if somebody would do that with a dueling duet. Because like you're saying, the audience doesn't realize what just really happened, like how that knife, like that was on a knife edge. She was on a knife edge and she came back full on and everyone was behind her. Like like, that would just be the best thing. That would be so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. I love that video so much. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, everybody had to see it,
Yeah. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, it's Super Bowl Sunday here in the US. So I feel like we have to find that video because that is kind of like the sportscaster, the ultimate sportscaster video.
Right? I love that.
Oh my gosh. Oh. So, well, I mean, I definitely don't want to take up all day. I could sit here and just talk about dueling duets and connection and just hang out with you guys all day long. But of course, I want to make sure that we're respectful of everybody's time. So I'm going to check in with the comments real fast. And then I would love to talk a little bit about what Liz and Lore and our friends at Fire Phoenix have created for our community when it comes to dueling duets. So Edie says, I think there is a quote from Carolina that she says it's like opening a book, telling a story, and then closing the book again.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. So dueling duets is a super challenging concept, as we just talked about, because there's just so much involved. I mean, you have to not only understand duets and quartets and fades, but you have to understand like the musicality and the timing of these steps, and kind of have this intuitive count, right, of like how many counts is it going to take me to do a sunanda, and am I going to land when I need to land, blah blah blah, all those things. So to teach a dueling duet can be a challenge, because we have to have dancers that are all on the same page, right? And like we just said, there are different ways to kind of teach dancers to do this. Now, our very first class here on FCBDU that we did with dueling duets is from Kelly Beeston, and it's brilliant because she uses those little wooden dolls, and she has everybody, and you can really, really see just how everybody moves around. And then she has example videos in the class. And I loved that class. And so now that the pandemic is over and we're dancing together again, as soon as I thought about we've got to have like dueling duets, like with two instructors, with a group, I was like, oh, what's the ultimate connection? And that's having like Liz and Lori, two different states, get together and create something. So
Yes.
I put that challenge out to you guys several months ago, and not only did you were like challenge accepted, you were like, challenge is accepted, and blew it out of the freaking water. I'm so impressed. I immediately told Carolina, I was like, Carolina, if there was such thing as like a volume 10, this would be it. This would be
You're
it.
so sweet.
It's so good. And I love how you guys made it with chapters. And so can you tell us about your class? Because I can sit here and talk about everything that you've done, but can you just kind of give us a little thing about like what makes this class so great for dueling duets?
Go ahead, Lori. You
Yeah.
start.
I think we're a great team because Liz is like the ultimate planner. She has like everything to the, how do you say in English? Like crossing the T's and dotting the I's or something.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
exactly.
she's super planned. And so we had many planning meetings before, and she wouldn't let anything go. And so we came up with the idea of like chapters, and we want to make like every single concept, they have their own space. And that's what we did with the chapters. And yeah, we worked on what was the best way to get deep into each of the concepts. And also we wanted to keep it simple, so what we are presenting is like the simplest steps, like clean, harmonious. You don't have to complicate it. If you want to complicate it after, first you have to be like in your game for the basics. So whenever we wanted to go crazy, we would tell each other, no, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple, because the concepts on its own are really hard.
Yes.
So we wanted to keep it with the basic steps. Um, but yeah, Liz, I can talk that also a lot about our work because it was intense, but I loved it.
It's funny. I feel like I heard this NPR article about super communicators, like like a week before we traveled to meet with each other, and it talked about the different styles of communication and understanding the different styles, and how to be very uh, be very clear on what the person that's communicating with you wants back from you. And it just made me think about, oh my gosh, like each one of these variations is like a different conversation. And it would be great if we separated this into each one of those variations is our 100% focus for the workshop. Because if they're all at play at once, it can be confusing and busy and overwhelming for us. So if we break them down into smaller conversations to where we know exactly what we're focused on, exactly the response we want to our conversation, if you will, I think it made it a lot easier to make it in little bite-sized pieces, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
It does. Yes, it does.
And also so people can go back and say like and think like, well, what is that concept again? And just be able to easily tune right into where they want to go into that, you know. So definitely I would love for everybody to take the whole class, but then know that you can go back into these individual chapters in this diary and read, so to speak, each one of these areas to like really like, okay, this week we're going to work specifically on this concept for dueling duets, and then really tune into that one because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But
And
not
I would,
only that, oh, go ahead.
if you're taking it to the stage, say, okay, we're only going to do this variation of dueling duets, or we're only going to do these 2 variations of dueling duets, and just keep it simple, because this is such a complex, beautiful formation. The simplicity it's beautiful, whether it's simplistic or whether you choose more advanced
Yeah.
concept or the steps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I love how we were thinking about like I was telling Liz at the library, you know, like little kids are the most into chapter books, and I remember they'd be like, "I need this chapter," and they'd be like so obsessed with having like all the chapters, but like how each chapter it's its own adventure, but at the same time
Mm.
they're all weaved together. So
Yeah.
right? I know. I remember, yeah, the little kids being obsessed with chapters books. And if you didn't have one of the chapters books, they will chase you until you buy it. Or something. But yeah, I love that. And we also gave them, you know how is it like sometimes someone says their name and the next one says their name, and now you have to tell the name of the first one and the second person and yourself. So we throw in there some exercises where you can summarize it. Like I think chapter 3, for instance, we give you like the separate concept, but in the end you get to practice. Okay, now let's review all together.
Yeah.
So you get to connect everything. And yeah, we still wish we could in future to do something more complicated, but still this was so complicated with the simple steps. But yeah.
You
And
guys took a really complicated concept though, and you made it fun, you made it interactive. And so the thing with like learning online, I was just chatting with one of our community members um, about like learning things online because I know it's not for everybody. But how cool is it that we can hit rewind? I say rewind, and hear
Yes.
again exactly what the teacher said over and over, exactly how they said it, but
Mhm.
also seeing it from different angles. And Edie mentions this in her comment over on the YouTube channel, being able to see a dueling duet not just from the front, but being able to see it overhead and see how everybody moves around and see who the main lead is and the secondary lead and how this is all working. I find that bringing that element into the online learning space has been huge. I mean, you know, I've created those videos and then we've had other classes where it has the overheads and people are like, oh my gosh, because you know, we all learn differently. And sometimes just seeing that from the front or being in a class and being the moving piece, you can't really see the bigger concept. So being
yeah.
able to see the bigger concept from the front, but also from overhead was just perfect. So perfect.
Mhm. Mhm. I think if I can just hop in,
Please.
as dancers get more experienced, I challenge them, now instead of being you in this formation, doing your thing, do the splits. I want you to create a split screen. I want you to see what the audience is seeing and what the overhead is. And I want
Mhm.
to like take you, stop thinking about you because you're fine. You're doing your thing. But what is the audience seeing and what does it look like from overhead? And I feel like that just like really expands your mind. So it is now that you can physically do it on screen, no one
Right.
has any excuse not to do this.
Exactly.
Do it. They did it for you, so dig it and do it.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
So we're releasing these chapters one a week for 6 weeks.
Ooh.
So chapter 1 has been released and chapter 2 is now released. And then we'll continue to release each chapter through the middle of March, which March is all about transitions. So I love this. I mean, I'm a nerd, so I'm just like, we will be transitioning from dueling duets into transitions in March, which is going to be our topic for our next podcast. But yeah, but I thought it'd be good to keep all of these chapters together. Instead of having 6 individual courses, we have one main course broken out into 6 different chapters. That way people can see the progression of the chapters, and if people aren't members, you can purchase just this course and you'll have lifetime access and you'll get all of the chapters. You have to wait for them to be released but you'll get all of the chapters how they roll. So I'm just so freaking thrilled about this course. I'm so proud of you guys and just so thankful that you created such a brilliant course for the community. And thank you to Fire Phoenix also for jumping in and
Oh my gosh.
being a part of this dueling duets.
They are the best. Like they were so patient. Lisa and I would be like, rah! And they'd be like, take your time, figure it out. And then they would like they were amazing. So I also want to say thank you to Fire Phoenix. They're the best.
You, Fire Phoenix.
Yay.
Love you.
I'm
So
excited.
sweet. Yes,
Yay.
it's so good. Okay, so before I let you guys go for the day, is there anything else you want to share about anything that you've got going on? Anything that it's kind of like open forum for plugging anything that you want to plug. Let's kick it off with Carolina.
Well, the thing that I plug is you can see me every day at 4:00 on 4:00 Pacific Standard Time on Facebook, where I read a book. So come and listen to the book and chat in the comments. I love it when everyone's just chatting away while I'm just reading away. So join me there.
Sweet.
Yay.
Lore, what have you got going on?
Well, the thing comes to mind is like come and dance with us in the summer for T4T. Like we're having a T4T in Portland, and it's gonna be Carolina, Diana, and I, and we're gonna be going to like the ticket. I'm just like so excited. I want to see everyone and dance and be in community and just have like an intense week of dance. I look forward to it.
Yes.
Yes.
Liz, what have you got going on?
Well, I teach weekly classes. So we just started our February session, and I have online and in person. So I've got a bunch of students online that we've been pinning on each other a lot this month because February is kind of, the love, the duets facing each other is also my theme. It's a very common theme for February. And then I have beginner classes on Tuesday nights and level 2, level 3 here in my house on Thursday nights, and getting ready for a big performance in April. And Fire Phoenix is going to come down and perform with us. And then I'm excited about November coming to Portland.
Woohoo! Yes. I'm excited about everybody coming to me. Like everybody come to Portland. Party in Portland. Technique for teachers, general skills, teacher training. And I know, Liz, some of your online students that take classes with you weekly are signed up and are coming to general skills and teacher training.
I'm so
super
excited.
exciting. Yeah, super exciting.
Proud. So proud of you guys. Oh.
Yes.
I'm so excited to see everybody there. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Me
it's going to be
too.
amazing. So registration opened yesterday for general skills and for teacher training. That's going to be in November here in Portland. So go sign up. And speaking of dueling duets, our newly refreshed Technique for Teachers course now includes advanced level formations, dueling duets, and cafe format. Woo! So as everybody knows, we've been gradually kind of looking at different courses and how can we refresh them? How can we make them more efficient? What can we add? What are we missing? And so last year was a major focus on advanced teacher training and completely revamping. So this year we were like, let's add some advanced formations because we finally get the opportunity to dance with advanced level dancers. So let's incorporate some advanced level formations and concepts.
Yes.
So really, really exciting about that. So yeah. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. And I want to just give a special shout out to our members, because without our FCBDU members, we wouldn't be able to do all of these things that we're doing for the community, and being able to offer these fantastic courses, to be able to have these conversations with the creator of this dance style and our mentor, Carolina, and just be able to connect and spread the love that this dance form gives us and so many of us all around the world.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Thank you all so much. Mwah. Have a
you.
wonderful rest of your day. Love, hearts. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great day.